Story 1. The small town of Ravenshadow had long been shrouded in an aura of mystique. Tucked away in the heart of the forest, the town's ancient cemetery stood as a testament to centuries of forgotten tales and restless spirits. Among the weathered tombstones, there was one grave that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest locals, the resting place of Eleanor Blackwood, a woman rumored to have made a pact with the supernatural. A group of thrill-seekers, drawn by the allure of the paranormal, gathered one moonlit night at the entrance of Ravenshadow Cemetery. Among them were Alex, a skeptic seeking to prove the absurdity of ghost stories, and Lisa, a true believer with an insatiable curiosity about the afterlife. Accompanying them were Tom, an adventurous soul, and Emily, a cautious but intrigued photographer. Their destination was Eleanor Blackwood's grave, the epicenter of countless chilling legends that had been passed down through generations. As they crossed the threshold into the cemetery, the atmosphere shifted, and an unnatural stillness settled over the air. The moon cast long, ominous shadows as the group made their way through the maze of tombstones. Finding Eleanor's grave proved to be an eerie challenge, as if the cemetery itself resisted their intrusion. After what felt like an eternity, they stumbled upon the moss-covered headstone bearing the name, Eleanor Blackwood, 1692-1745. A shiver ran down their spines as they read the inscription, and Lisa's eyes widened with a mix of fear and fascination. As the group gathered around the grave, Lisa produced an old Ouija board she had acquired from an antique shop. The planchette, worn with age, seemed to carry the weight of countless conversations with the other side. With candles flickering in the night breeze, they placed their hands on the planchette, ready to make contact with the spectral shadows that supposedly lingered in Ravenshadow. The Ouija board came alive with an energy of its own. The planchette glided across the board, spelling out words that seemed to echo from the depths of the underworld. The group's skepticism wavered as the messages became more specific, referencing details only Eleanor Blackwood could have known. Lisa, enraptured by the communication, asked the spirit about the nature of her alleged pact with the supernatural. The planchette moved deliberately, spelling out a tale that sent chills down their spines. Eleanor Blackwood, a woman accused of witchcraft in a time of paranoia and superstition, had made a desperate pact to protect her loved ones from persecution. In exchange for her soul, she gained the ability to communicate with the spirit realm and wield powers beyond mortal comprehension. As the group absorbed the spectral narrative, the temperature in the graveyard plummeted. Shadows seemed to detach from the tombstones, coalescing into ethereal forms that circled the group. The air crackled with a haunting energy, and uneasy whispers filled the night. In the midst of their apprehension, a ghostly figure materialized before them, Eleanor Blackwood herself. A woman in tattered 18th-century attire, her eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. The group gasped in awe and terror, paralyzed by the presence of the spectral apparition. Eleanor's voice echoed through the night, recounting her centuries-long existence in the realm between life and death. She spoke of a curse that bound her spirit to Ravenshadow Cemetery, unable to find peace until her pact was fulfilled. The group, now faced with the consequences of their actions, felt a sense of responsibility to help Eleanor break the curse that shackled her soul. Guided by the ghostly figure, the group embarked on a quest to uncover the hidden details of Eleanor's pact. They delved into dusty archives, deciphered cryptic symbols, and consulted ancient texts that hinted at a ritual capable of severing the ethereal chains that bound Eleanor to the mortal realm. As they neared the climax of their journey, the group faced increasingly sinister manifestations of the paranormal. Apparitions appeared in mirrors, disembodied whispers echoed in their dreams, and the temperature fluctuated wildly as if the spirit realm itself resisted their interference. The pivotal night arrived, a moonless night when the veil between worlds was said to be thinnest. In the heart of Ravenshadow Cemetery, the group gathered around Eleanor's grave, armed with candles, ancient symbols, and the knowledge they had acquired. The air thickened with anticipation as they began the ritual to break the curse. As incantations filled the night, a dark energy enveloped them. The ground beneath Eleanor's grave trembled, and a gust of wind swept through the cemetery. The ethereal forms of long-forgotten souls materialized, drawn by the disturbance. The group pressed on, their voices rising above the haunting symphony of the spectral shadows that surrounded them. In a climactic moment, Eleanor's ghostly figure began to fade, her eyes reflecting gratitude and relief. The curse that had bound her for centuries lifted, and the group watched in awe as she ascended into a radiant light. The cemetery, once gripped by an otherworldly chill, returned to a serene stillness. As dawn broke on the horizon, the group stood in the quiet cemetery, the weight of the paranormal ordeal finally lifted. Eleanor Blackwood's story, once a bone-chilling legend, concluded with a sense of closure and redemption. The friends, forever changed by their encounter with the supernatural, left Ravenshadow Cemetery with a newfound respect for the spectral shadows that linger in the spaces between life and death. Story 2. In the quiet town of Ravenscroft, nestled between misty hills and ancient woods, there stood a mysterious antique shop known as the Enchanted Relic. The shopkeeper, an enigmatic woman named Alara, possessed a collection of peculiar items said to be imbued with supernatural energy. Among them, a weathered Ouija board stood out, a relic with a sinister reputation that had earned it the name, the Whispering Oracle. News of the Ouija board's eerie powers spread through the town like wildfire, but curiosity got the better of four friends: Emma, Jake, Sarah, and Mark. One gloomy evening, they gathered at the Enchanted Relic, drawn by the allure of the paranormal. Alara, with an enigmatic smile, handed them the ancient Ouija board, cautioning them to use it with respect and to heed the warnings it might convey. Undeterred, the friends set up the Ouija board in Emma's attic, surrounded by flickering candles. Skepticism lingered in the air as they placed their hands on the planchette, ready to embark on a journey to the other side. The room fell into a hushed silence as they asked their first question. "Is anyone there?" To their surprise, the planchette moved with purpose, spelling out a name: Samuel. Intrigued, they continued their communication, discovering that Samuel claimed to be a spirit with a tragic past. As the night progressed, the atmosphere shifted from skepticism to a surreal acceptance of the supernatural. The friends, initially cautious, became engrossed in conversations with the other side. Samuel's tales of lost love and unfinished business resonated with the group, drawing them deeper into the mystic realm. The Ouija board seemed to open a portal to a dimension where time blurred, and the boundaries between the living and the dead dissolved. As the clock struck midnight, the temperature in the attic plummeted. Shadows danced on the walls, and a cold wind whispered through the room. The planchette began to move more rapidly, spelling out ominous messages. "Beware," it warned, as the friends exchanged uneasy glances. Attempting to dismiss the growing unease, they continued their communication. However, Samuel's demeanor changed. His messages became cryptic and foreboding, hinting at a malevolent force that had been unleashed. The planchette spelled out a series of numbers and symbols, leaving the friends perplexed. Determined to unravel the mystery, they researched the symbols and discovered a dark history connected to Ravenscroft. Long ago, a malevolent spirit known as the Shadow Wraith was said to have terrorized the town, bringing misfortune to those who crossed its path. The numbers corresponded to dates of tragic events linked to the Wraith's curse. Fear gripped the friends as they realized they had unwittingly awakened a dormant force. Strange occurrences plagued their lives. Objects moved on their own, eerie whispers echoed through empty rooms, and nightmares tormented their sleep. The Ouija board, once a source of curiosity, had become a conduit for a supernatural entity that hungered for their souls. Desperate to break the curse, the friends sought the help of a local paranormal expert. The expert, a seasoned investigator named Dr. Helena Blackwood, listened intently to their harrowing tale. With a stern expression, she explained that the Ouija board had acted as a gateway, allowing the Shadow Wraith to cross over into their world. Together, they devised a plan to confront the malevolent entity and banish it back to the ethereal realm. Armed with ancient incantations and protective talismans, the friends and Dr. Blackwood returned to Emma's attic, where the presence of the Shadow Wraith loomed. As they began the ritual, the air crackled with energy. The room plunged into darkness, and the Ouija board trembled on the table. Whispers filled the air, a cacophony of voices that echoed the suffering of the Wraith's victims. The temperature dropped to freezing, and the friends shivered as an otherworldly figure materialized before them. Dr. Blackwood, undeterred, recited the incantations with unwavering resolve. The friends joined hands, channeling their collective energy to create a barrier against the Wraith. The battle between the living and the dead raged on, the very fabric of reality tearing at the seams. In a climactic moment, the incantations reached a crescendo, and the Wraith let out a blood-curdling scream. The Ouija board shattered into pieces, and the malevolent entity dissipated into the shadows. The attic fell silent, the oppressive atmosphere lifting like a fog. Exhausted but victorious, the friends and Dr. Blackwood emerged from the ordeal changed. The Ouija nightmares had left an indelible mark on their lives, a chilling reminder that some doors should never be opened. As they left Emma's attic, they cast one last glance at the shattered remnants of the Whispering Oracle, vowing never again to tamper with the forces that linger on the other side. Story 3. The old mansion stood alone on the outskirts of town, its dilapidated facade cloaked in an eerie stillness. The air felt heavy, and the moon cast long shadows on the overgrown garden that surrounded the decaying structure. The locals spoke of a dark history that clung to the walls like a ghostly residue, and those brave enough to enter were said to hear the whispers beyond the veil. Michael, a skeptical journalist with a penchant for debunking supernatural phenomena, couldn't resist the allure of the haunted mansion. Rumors had circulated for years about strange occurrences within its walls, and Michael saw an opportunity to prove once and for all that there was no such thing as ghosts. Armed with cameras, recording devices, and a healthy dose of skepticism, he ventured into the foreboding mansion one fateful night. As he crossed the threshold, the temperature seemed to drop, and an unsettling silence settled over the mansion. Michael navigated through the creaking hallways, his footsteps echoing in the empty space. The walls seemed to breathe, and he dismissed it as a trick of his imagination. Setting up his equipment in what appeared to be the grand ballroom, Michael began his investigation. Hours passed without incident, and he grew increasingly confident that he would leave with nothing more than a mundane story of an abandoned mansion. However, as the clock struck midnight, the atmosphere changed. A distant sound echoed through the mansion, a soft, ethereal melody that seemed to emanate from nowhere. Intrigued, Michael followed the haunting notes, winding his way through narrow corridors and dusty rooms until he reached the mansion's forgotten library. To his surprise, the room was bathed in a soft, otherworldly light. Books lined the shelves, their spines cracked and pages yellowed with age. In the center of the room, an antique Ouija board lay untouched on a dusty table. Michael couldn't help but scoff at the cliché, dismissing it as a cheap prop left behind by previous thrill seekers. But as he turned to leave, the planchette on the Ouija board began to move on its own. Michael froze, his skepticism giving way to an uneasy sense of dread. The planchette spelled out words that sent shivers down his spine. "I see you." A cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles Michael had set up for illumination. Darkness enveloped him, and he fumbled for his flashlight. The room seemed alive with unseen entities, and Michael felt an unseen presence closing in around him. The ghostly melody returned, louder and more dissonant. Whispers filled the air, unintelligible voices speaking in a language long forgotten. Shadows danced on the walls, and Michael's heart raced as he realized he was no longer alone. Desperate to escape the encroaching darkness, Michael stumbled back into the hallway, only to find the mansion transformed. The walls pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and ghostly apparitions materialized before him. Each specter bore a reflection of tragedy, their faces etched with sorrow and despair. The whispers grew louder, now forming coherent sentences that echoed through the mansion. They spoke of lost love, unfinished business, and the agony of being trapped between worlds. Michael, once a staunch skeptic, now stood at the mercy of forces beyond his comprehension. As the night wore on, Michael navigated a labyrinth of paranormal phenomena, apparitions, phantom footsteps, and mysterious cold spots. The mansion seemed to feed on his fear, manifesting his deepest anxieties in spectral forms that taunted him at every turn. In the early hours of the morning, as the first light of dawn crept through the shattered windows, the activity ceased. The mansion returned to its silent, dormant state, as if the night's events were nothing more than a fleeting nightmare. Exhausted and shaken, Michael emerged from the mansion, his once unwavering skepticism shattered. The experience left an indelible mark on him, forever altering his perception of the supernatural. He could no longer deny the existence of the paranormal, and the whispers beyond the veil would haunt him for the rest of his days. The old mansion stood alone, its secrets buried within its walls, waiting for the next curious soul to dare to uncover the terrifying encounters with the paranormal that lurked within. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and turn on notifications if you enjoyed the video so you never miss an upload.